Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fair Life with Andrew McKee. I'm Andrew McKee. So, yes, it's, hey, everyone, and Sarit and Kurt, and hey, Alicia's joined too. So, yeah, way ahead of the curve. I'm trying a couple of things. I should be on both YouTube and Facebook now tonight. I think I fixed the problem from last week, and we'll see. We'll see if it works. I'm definitely trying something a little crazy on YouTube. I'm testing out a much lower bit rate with a much better codec, a video codec, to see if that will make a difference. And in the future, it may help me a lot as far as being on the road and trying to make this work. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'll probably be doing some experiments over the next few weeks with that and trying to optimize that, because I was not thrilled about missing out so much over the last few months with Fairlife. And yeah, so let's hopefully that'll take care of that. And hey, Lisa, thanks for joining. And yeah, so cool. Let's dive right in. It has been another interesting week to say the least. Yeah, mainly because, well, I guess for me, a lot of it was because I just did a 3-day weekend. And whenever I do a 3-day weekend, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or God help us all, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, my first thought is, why do I do these on Monday? There was a reason 5 years ago why I started doing these on Mondays. I honestly don't know if I completely remember them now. But yeah, I am pretty wiped. I'm not gonna lie. It was a crazy weekend because Friday we had school days at the New Jersey Ren Fair. And for those of you that have ever experienced that, Kids Days is an interesting animal with an interesting dynamic. I First of all, you have to come in a bit earlier. Morning meeting is at 8 a.m. as opposed to 9, and the fair opens up at 9 as opposed to 10 normally. But you end earlier, so you can end usually around 2 p.m. So you don't have to go through the whole day and be done around 5 or 6. So it's interesting. Yeah. I know you tried to tell me 5 years ago, Alicia. Yeah, I get it. But yeah. But I will say, the New Jersey Fair, they've really done a lot of improvements the last few years, and it is so much better. This Kids Days actually ran very smoothly, and we were all really happy and pleased with it, all things considered. The kids were all very well behaved. The chaperones and teachers, that really took good care of everybody, and I was very happy. So let's hope that continues, and it's a trend and not an anomaly. Well, that's true. I mean, certainly it's not the same for everybody. I mean, some performers do really well on Kids Days. Some, if you mainly do drinking songs in the pub, doesn't quite translate well. Vendors are the same way. For the merchants, if you really have to have items that are usually under $20 per item to make it work. And if you do, then it really, you can make some good sales and have a good financial day. If you don't, it might be a little rough. You may just be standing in front of your booth making sure nobody knocks it over. That's the big thing. And you're spend the whole day explaining where things are and acting as a overglorified info booth. So it can be rough. I get it. It's definitely something, as a merchant and as a performer, you have to kind of keep that in mind when you develop your show or your merchandise. Oh yeah, please don't forget to like and share the stream. Definitely. So yes, that's always appreciated. But yeah, this one was a little different though, because a few weeks ago they at the New Jersey Fair asked me to do a promo at one of the uh, television stations in Philadelphia. And originally it was going to be the week before. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. That's no problem on a Friday morning. Okay. and it was going to be really early, but it was going to be on site, so not very far from where I'm staying. So I was like, okay, I can do that. Then it got moved to a week later. And then the weather came out, and they got worried about sending out a remote crew when it might rain a little bit early in the morning. So they just said, well, yeah, let's just do it in the studio. So what ended up happening was that I woke up on Friday at 2:30 a.m. and then left here around 3:15 and went and picked up one of the other performers. And we ended up driving to Philadelphia and then making a 4:45 a.m. call time, and then being on the morning news. So, yeah. It was, we did that. And, I think I have a picture here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. There's me and Connor. He does a lot of magic and rope tricks and things like that. But, yeah, we were doing a little teaser with the weather beforehand, and then I think we have there we go, with the CBS 3 Philadelphia news crew. But yeah, that was, they had us in and out really quick. We were out before 6 a.m. So then it's like, okay. So we went and stopped and grabbed some breakfast, and then I got there at 7 a.m., an hour before morning meeting at the Faire. So, yeah. Well, trust me, as absent-minded and as spacey as I am today, I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% sure. I'll say I tried to, but I wanted to cover myself in case there was a mistake, because I'll be honest, I got it all together, but I'm brain-wise, I'm not at 100%. Yes, actually, yeah. I was on the news, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, they were really nice, and just a quick interview. It wasn't very long. Just did a teaser and then a quick 5-minute Q&A, and that was it. But that's what the Faire needed, and you got to do a lot of those things. And when the Faire asks, I always try to at least do one if I can. Sometimes it's radio, sometimes it's television, sometimes it's just going out and do a meet and greet somewhere. I mean, you never know. But some fairs actually put it in your contract where you're supposed to be willing to do at least one of those. And some don't, but generally I always, especially if I'm in the area and I'm staying during the week, I try to be available for one of those, because it doesn't just help the Faire, it also can help me too, especially if I'm promoting something I'm doing, or if I'm doing a side gig during the week or something. But it's an option. But either way, it's about promoting the Faire, and that's where I am. So it's promoting me too. You'd think so, but at the beginning of a 3-day weekend, you believe that on Friday. On Saturday, you're not so sure, and on Sunday, you really stop believing in that concept. I really have to tell you. I really have to tell you. It was an interesting time, but oh my gosh, you even had a link. Okay, well, okay, I'll throw that up just because. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't show the whole link, but you can probably do a search on it. But yeah, anyway, that was my morning, and then did school days. Now, for me, I told you last week that one of the things I'm doing at New Jersey is I am playing music with a group there, the Rowdy Bardlings, and just jamming with them at their shows. But I also got hired by the Faire to run one of the stages, mainly the stage that the Rowdy Bardlings are playing at, but just the sound of it, because it's definitely the most difficult stage there, and they have a good sound crew there that deal with the other stages, but it was starting to get away from them with that stage, I think, and just having somebody dedicated just for that stage made sense for them, so they got me in there. Well, one of the other musicians, his second, a group called Lambning, Gordon Cavalier, he said that his drummer couldn't make it, and he just needs somebody to fill in for one weekend. And asked me if I'd be interested, since I was already there at the stage anyway, doing sound, and I naively said yes. So I was doing show after show after show, and the sound, and without much sleep. So it kind of, there's a good lesson here. I think it's about hubris. believing you can do more than you can. Maybe throw in a bit of Icarus and you might get burned. I mean, I made it and everything was okay and the shows went fine and the sound went fine, but definitely I was on my last brain cell by the end yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I slept a lot last night. Woo! Yeah, I got out of bed around 11 a.m. To be sure. I'll tell you, I'm learning that word. I really am. Has been a good life lesson. The truth is, I love playing music. So if I have an opportunity to do it, I'll generally say yes if I can, or if it seems like a good fit. And it was fun playing. It definitely was. But yeah, it would have been better if I'd had more sleep on that Thursday night. I'll say that. I actually thought that exact same phrase, Kurt. I'm not gonna lie. That did cross my mind more than once. Yes, yes. It's good exercise. You mean saying no or getting more sleep or both? Because that could go to either one. Definitely. But honestly, I really liked playing with Jordan, and he plays a nickel harpa, which is just a fun, fascinating instrument, and it's just a lot of fun, and very, very different. And any other week, it would have been great. I just didn't quite. Honestly, when I agreed, I didn't quite realize how little sleep I was going to get. Now that is a valid point, Alicia. Very valid point. Oh, yes. Another thing I wanted to mention, based on last week, was we were talking about the different Ren fairs and everything, and one of them was about George Cullum, the owner of the Texas Renaissance Festival, and his death, and the way that they were being a little guarded about what the cause was. I think I put a picture. Yes, I did. And the way they were handling it, I said, my guess, based on some of the radio reports and how they're handling it, that it was probably suicide by gunshot. And they finally confirmed that. So that is what happened. And I'm not going to spend time really speculating about why. I'm certainly not qualified. Have I met him? Yes. But yeah, under the circumstances, you can just throw the judge had ruled that he had to sell his fare, and he got voted out of office from the from the town that he helped found at the fair, so not mayor anymore. So a great deal of loss. Assume that had something to do with it, but I'm sure there's a lot to it. But it's interesting to at least. Well, I just like knowing what happened and just being able to close that in my head at least. Doubt is always one of those things I've never been a fan of. Also, a very good point. Thanks for that, Alicia. You're very true. Very true. It's I'd say for almost every situation, it's not the right answer. But yes. So anyway, just some news on that. I also heard some news that I'm almost hesitant to mention. That's also a good point, Alicia. Yeah, definitely. It's so great to see all of you. But I heard an interesting bit of info from only one source, I'm afraid. Normally, I wouldn't quite quote something about fairs from only one source. I usually try to find a second. But what I heard from a fairly reliable source, I will say, is that Sterling might have been sold to the same people that bought Georgia and Scarborough and King Richard's Fair. That's a huge thing if it is actually true. But at this point, because I don't have a second source, I still want to just say it's a rumor. But if it's true, it definitely makes sense. Because going with the strategy of how they're the fairs that group is picking, it's an older fair that has a good crowd and it has a decent following and a good name, but has been going through a bit of controversy with the owner and a bit of a rough time for the past 15 plus years with that owner, whether it's lawsuits or tax problems. So, yeah, I mean, the idea is to get a valuable commodity, maybe a little cheap, and then build it up since it already has the brand and the name. So I can kind of believe it. Oh, you have? Okay, that actually makes me feel better. We hadn't talked about that. Um, yeah, yeah, that's yeah, that's I'd say it's very likely based on everything, but for now, I still want to just call it rumor until I get a definitive news source that says, yeah, this is happening. Because from looking online, nobody's picked that up. No local news, no nothing. So if it's happening, it's really happening in the background. But if it happens, that's actually pretty huge. And I was talking before about how fairs have just started, um, kind of going together in groups where owners are buying multiple fairs. I mean, what do y'all think about that? Is that something that you think is a good thing or is it a bad thing? I'm kind of curious. Um, I mean, I see both sides of it. I think it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but what do y'all think? Because it's a tough call. You've got fairs that are, you kind of call it consolidating, going more corporate even. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but you can also look at it as a potential boon where a lot more money be put into the fair. Yeah, I definitely see that. Oh, right. Yeah, good call. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Sorry. Uh, Sometimes forget that I have graphics up. But yeah, yeah, I do see the whole spread too thin thing. Right, right. Well, the owner, I mean, that's one of those things where things change and you get different pressures. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Jan. I mean, it can depend on the new owners. I mean, I mean, Nick Peterson, the main thing he said going around is that I'm not my father. So there's kind of a love-hate relationship with his dad for a lot of people. So who owns several other fairs. So and he's kind of been estranged from him for I believe about 15 years. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, based on that track record, you don't really want to um, pass on that blame to the kid for that. But they're definitely being aggressive. I mean, within about a year, if they bought 4 fairs, that's extraordinary. And these are not small little fairs. It could, but I mean, but think about the whole Disney concept of being the family friendly event. I mean, I know Disney is not what they used to be, but back in the day, they kind of were the de facto, this is what family is in America in most of the 20th century. It was a huge deal. So I don't want to say it can't be done, but it certainly can be done wrong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is definitely a concern because where the money gets allocated. Mm. Yeah, I mean that's a very good point, Lisa, because there's always those things that make a fair special. It's like, oh, this is my favorite fair because it's unique in this way. And if they start becoming less unique, how special is a particular fair? I mean, if they start all becoming carbon copies of each other, I mean, why go to multiple fairs? Just go to one and you get the same experience. I know that speaking of Disney, I know the Disney World, Disneyland thing had that for a while, and they've both tried to differentiate themselves from each other. But yeah, That has always been a thing. Well, no, of course, but I mean, uh, you still can have an opinion about it, Jan, because you do go to more fairs than, well, geez, than all of us, more than I do now. You go to a lot of fairs. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Yeah, fair family, and that is a very different animal. Now, that's a very good point. I mean, if you look at them, the numbers are similar, but the atmosphere is very different. So that is a very good point. I mean, can they just look at each fair in a vacuum and just say, this is what makes this special. Let's make sure we keep it this way and have a level of separation. That's a big question. It really is. Oh, I'm stealing that. That is good. That is good. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know some people are still huge Disney fans, and I have my moments, but it's easy to be have a love hate relationship for sure. Yeah, I understand. Well, I mean, if you want, I will go ahead and tell you my uh, good idea, bad idea kind of thing. The good idea, good for the fair. I think the first of all, you can consolidate management. So if you have a spring fair and a fall fair, you could have one management group, running the spring fair and the same one jumping into the fall fair. Now, it looks like what one thing that they're doing is, for this instance, is Georgia's doing a spring and a fall, and they're trying that out. We'll see how that goes. But so that might negate this option anyway. But it can kind of help save a lot of money with management, and that can be good. I mean, that could really help out. Uh, then you have it's kind of income insurance, because there's always going to be that year where weather or natural disaster or whatever happens, and one of the fairs doesn't do very well. Maybe just a lot of rain, a lot of problems, but yeah, it can be a big thing where they make a fraction of the profit that they normally would, and maybe sometimes not any profit at all. It does happen. So yeah, I mean, if you have those extra fares and they have good years, you can kind of cover that a little bit, just to at least where you're not losing money if all your eggs are in one basket. Um, so yeah, that's number two for me. Number three, third reason why it's good for the fair, well, potentially consistent greatness. I mean, if you come in with a great concept and a lot of energy and really try to make some positive changes, and you do that at one fair and then you do it at all the fairs, well, if you're going uphill, if you're consistent with it, it could be a big positive thing at many different fairs, not just one. So yeah, be going that way. But yeah, that can be good. And then there's the possibility, and this is something I only know a little bit about, so it may not amount to as much as I think. But you do have the option to save some money with some bulk contracts on services, potentially, because there's a lot of money that goes into it, that most of us have no idea about, whether it's sanitation services or whatever. I mean, it can be a lot, and you normally set up some sort of a contract with somebody to do it, or you try to run it yourself. And for one fair, it's a lot of money. But when you have multiple fairs, it's not like necessarily two, three, four times the money. It's you can kind of uh, you can kind of maximize that and help with the budget. So that could help, maybe. Now that I could get behind. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I see. That's just wow. That's yeah, and you can do that. And that's one of the things when you can go different times of the years. Now, of course, sometimes you do what I tried to do this past weekend, and you do two at once, and that's ouch, or three. I kind of did three at once. So yeah, it is not always a good idea. It can be a big strain. I suppose if she was getting paid well for it, but uh, yeah, that's kind of, it would be interesting. It would definitely be interesting. Well, okay. So that being said, those are those are my yeah, those are my four for positive. For the negative, a lot of them are the same thing, honestly. I mean, consolidate management, that sounds great, right? Well, what if the management's bad? So instead of a bad management setup at one fair, you have it at multiple fairs. So it just kind of makes two fairs not a pleasant place to work for. It could happen. And there's certainly instances I've seen where management has been an issue of me not going back to a fair. So, and if you run into that at one, ouch, it could be rough. Now, the second one, I mentioned income insurance. Well, it's also a division of income because you have a fair that has a wonderful year, and then it might have to take some of the money, kind of like what Malaysia said earlier, that take some of the money from that and put it into one of the smaller fairs or one of the fairs that didn't have such a good year. And it's not getting, even though it's getting a lot of growth from the community, that money isn't just going to help the fair as much. There's a lot of, I mean, that politically, this is a charged concept, whether it's in America with the different states and how money gets allocated to each individual state from the federal government, or the EU, and how certain countries where strong economies of those countries were helping prop up the weak economies of others in the EU. So that's actually one of the main, probably one of the main 5 or 7 reasons that Brexit happened for the UK. So yeah, it can be an issue. Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm getting to that one. I'm getting to that one, Jen. Don't worry. Right, totally. Yeah, I gotcha. I kind of guessed when you were talking about that, but I didn't want to call you out on it, and if you didn't want to share. Yes, exactly. And yeah, that's true. If you burn a bridge with uh, with one fair, well, you've burned a bridge with four. So that's rough. Um, that can be very rough. The other thing is, I mentioned consistent greatness as a good thing. Well, that's if you're doing things right. But what if you're doing things wrong? What if you make some decisions that are not so good and you copy them at other fairs? So you get 4 fairs that are making bad decisions. That's sort of the crapshoot that we're in right now. But hey, you try. Uh, so that's at one. And last but not least, and this is for you, Jen, um, performers and vendors' bargaining power is lessened. Because really, it's always hard and difficult for the merchants or the performers to really command and get the money that they probably deserve, payment, or to not be taken advantage of in some way. So, one of the best ways we can accomplish that is to be able to say, well, okay, if you're not going to meet my rate or do this, or if you're going to try to take advantage of me in this way, I'll just go to another fair and go there instead. And if enough performers do that, maybe they won't do it as often. But if one company owns a lot of the fairs, they have a lot more power over what they can dictate to you. So yeah, for contracts, it is a big deal. And sometimes, like in the past, I remember there were deals where, was it Royal Fairs with Jeff Siegel for Carolina and Arizona? Uh, I've heard about deals where there was like, okay, I want you for both. I'll let you do this fair, but you also have to do my other fair. And yeah. So they're pressuring you to do their fairs when perhaps you'd rather do another one, but you don't want to lose the one fair, so maybe take a hit and do the one you wouldn't really prefer to, just to maintain. I mean, how much is it worth to you? So yeah, they have a lot more bargaining power with that. Yeah, just imagine what the commercials are going to be like, right? That's going to be fun. Yeah, Paradise Regrets both. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is different. uh, yeah, you kind of do. Anyway, that's kind of, oh gosh, it's already 30 after. Wow. We've been talking about this. This is sort of a big thing, and I've been kind of running it through my brain all week. When I was still conscious and had brain cells earlier in the week, I was thinking about this a lot. And it's an interesting topic. It's one of those things where it can go either way. A lot of it is going to depend on who's running it and what direction they take. So, but yeah, there are definitely some red flags. So we will see. We will see. But we can hope. Um, right. You're not wrong. That's exactly what you'd be worried about. If you burn a bridge, you've burned several bridges. Yeah, and that's another interesting point. I mean, usually those are not enforceable by law. Non-compete, I mean, uh, generally telling you can't take a job when you're not working for them is, well, sketchy at best, but often illegal, especially in right to work states. It's not enforceable. But they put that in there, even in states where it's not enforceable. I've looked into this, where just to scare people. That's really it. It's a big middle finger that they're giving to another fair they don't like in the state normally. Um, yeah, but one of the interesting things you can do with a contract, believe it or not, and it's very common in the entertainment industry, is to cross out what you don't agree with and send the contract back signed. You have a line item veto option. In the entertainment industry, it's very common. In California and Hollywood, yeah, they do it all the time. No, nope, not going to agree to this. And you sign it, send the contract back, and if they say, well, okay, and they sign it anyway, it is an option. Now, of course, you risk rocking that boat with the fair, but it's because it's not very common at fairs. But I have done it before. I will say that. I have done that before for a fair contract, and it didn't cause me any problems. I think more than anything, very few people even try it, so it's not uh, one person who does about something that's meaningless anyway. They just don't care. And if they call me on it, you just have to be ready to defend why. Uh, yeah, that's about it. But yeah, anyway, that's the gist there. Let's go ahead and do the fair list real quick because yeah, we got the there are a lot of fairs. Last week we talked about it where a lot of the fairs were ending their spring run and Memorial Day weekend, that kind of thing, and they're done. That's it. So now we're jumping into the beginning of the summer session and a lot of fairs. You have some one weekend fairs, several actually, and some fairs are starting their long run. They tend to start after Memorial Day when all those other fairs end. Uh, yeah, yeah. A lot of times you're right, Alicia. They do not make it easy sometimes. Just to sometimes it's almost impossible just to know how to contact somebody. Some websites they do put that information in, and it's very simple. Others they do not. Yeah, that is one of the interesting things that has been a byproduct of me doing the Fairlife um, weekly fair list because I don't just compile a list. Um, I mean, I've had help in the past from different people who've helped me with, compile the list before, but even when they give me the list, I'd still verify and make sure that because every once in a while mistakes happened and try to mitigate that. But I'd also go to every website for every fair. And I've been able to look at how all the websites are set up, and it is fascinating because, oh my gosh, they are so different. Um, but it also opens up the idea, like for the multiple fairs owned by one person, because they'll normally have a landing page that goes to 4 or 3 or 2 different fairs, and then you just go straight there. And the fairs are set up, the pages are set up the exact same way. So I bet they saved a lot of money on web development. They get one person to just set it up for all 4 fairs, and it doesn't cost them much more than they would if they did it for one fair. So yeah, I mean, it's savings like that for services that I was talking about. Okay, so let's jump in. Here we go. Let's get the, let's see, can I get that? Yeah, here we go. Got it. The nice dot. Okay, let's see. See if we can get all of these on the screen. It's a lot. Okay, let's jump on over and start with the Robin Hood's Medieval Fair in Harwinton, Connecticut. And it is the second, wait a minute, it's the third weekend out of 5 on that one. And then jumping over to Kingdom Fair in Paterson, New York. And that is the second out of 2 weekends. And then going down to the New Jersey Renaissance Fair, where I am, so I might be biased, but it's a good fair. It's in Columbus, New Jersey, and it is going to be the last weekend, fourth out of 4 weekend. Then let's jump over to, let's jump over to Ontario, the Maidens of the Mist Renaissance Fair, and Grassy, Ontario, so up here. And that's an interesting one because it's a 3-day weekend, just one weekend from Friday to Sunday. And then nearby, still in Ontario, and Elmira, Ontario, is Robin in the Hood Medieval Festival. And that's, interestingly, Friday and Saturday, so not Sunday. So, a couple Canadian fairs. Jumping down to Virginia, we have the Virginia Renaissance Fair in Spotsylvania, Virginia. And this is, the last weekend 5 out of 5. And then nearby we have the Flutterby Fairy Festival in Winchester, Virginia. And that's just on Saturday, so one day only. Then going over to West Virginia, and I do have some friends playing there, West Virginia Renaissance Festival in Lewisburg, West Virginia. This is the first weekend out of 4. Then jumping over to Kentucky, I also have some friends who are on the way there this week to perform. That is in Eminence, Kentucky, and it is the second. This is going to be their second weekend out of 8. So yeah. Then let's see. Jumping over to Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. We have the Canterbury Village Medieval Fair in Lake Orion, Michigan. And that is this is going to be the second weekend, the last weekend. And jumping over to the Magical Realms Fantasy Fair. I think that one's up here, actually. Yeah, that's in Charlotte, Michigan, and just this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Then going over to South Dakota. Yeah, right, South Dakota. We don't say South Dakota very much on the fair list. But they have the Siouxland Renaissance Festival in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Only one weekend, so Saturday and Sunday. Jumping over to Colorado, the Colorado Medieval Festival in Loveland, Colorado. 3-day weekend, so that's going to be Friday through Sunday. Then going up to Montana, we have the Montana Renaissance Festival in Red Lodge, Montana, and also just the one weekend. Then jumping down to Utah, we have the Woodland Fairy Festival at Gardner Village, and I mentioned that last week, in West Jordan, Utah, and that's this is going to be the 4th week out of 7, and they do it during the week too, Monday through Saturday, but not Sunday. So very fascinating setup throughout the week. A little different. Then going up to Washington, we have, let's see, this is up here. Yeah, a little dark there, but you can see it. The Kingston Pirate Festival in Kingston, Washington. It's just one day on Saturday. Down to Oregon, we have the beginning of the Oregon Renaissance Fair in Canby, Oregon. That's the first out of 4 weekends. And then jumping down into California, we have the Kronberg Renaissance Festival in Corona, California. And that is the 3rd out of 5 weekends. And then we have the Three Barons Renaissance Fair. Again, don't mention Alaska very much. This is in Anchorage, Alaska. And this is the 1st out of 2 weekends. So there you go. And you're not wrong. Yeah, those Utah Blue laws are kind of strange. Yeah, I mean, one-day fairs, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I one day fairs are nice, but I don't know if it's one of those things. I really it's a little tougher for the performer because we normally get paid by the day. So doing all the travel to go to a fair and a festival to do that and just doing one day, um, it can really make it more of a struggle to justify. So normally the one day fairs, the only entertainment they're going to get are going to be local or best, maybe regional, but they're not going to travel very far because they just can't. They can't afford it. They won't, and even those that are, they're going to have to. Anybody who travels at all, they're going to demand more money for that one day than they would if they were playing both days. They'd have more per day. Um, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. So yeah, read my mind. Yeah, another thing I was looking at actually was to try to tweak the delay because I know there's like a 15 to 20-second delay on Facebook, and I think I can bring that down a little bit, and I'm going to be messing with that over the next few weeks. So maybe we'll minimize the delay. Here's hoping. At least on YouTube, I think I'll minimize the delay a lot. I've got that figured out. Facebook, I'm going to try. I know I really want to try that someday too, because Three Barons, that'd be great. It's now that it's 2 weekends, because I remember when it was one, and I was like, yeah, there's no way. But two, maybe, maybe that might be possible. It could happen. It could happen. You know, you set up a couple of set it up for both weekends, and then try to get a couple of gigs during the week. You know, and in Anchorage. Okay, yeah, yeah, that could work. Yeah, and I think we're all agreed on that. That's yeah. Oh yeah, and that's the vendor perspective. That's a good point. That's exactly it. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think about what I have to do, and then the merchants. I mean, they set up. I mean, their whole setup. Whether if it's a they have to set up a tent and set it all up and set up their display and pack everything and unpack everything. I mean, it is uh, often I see them spend at least a day the Friday before fair starts setting it up, and often it's more than that, more usually multiple days. So big, yeah, it is tough. So doing it for one day, you'd have to be local and not have much. That'd be the only way to do it. No, me? So I can't imagine. No. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of the like for merchants, you have your wherever you're based, you say like, okay, here's the fairs I want to travel to, and then you look around for any local events that are convenient that you might just uh, pack up and go to that aren't very far, and you can just go back home at night and not, yeah, something like that. So it's not as much work, but it's still a lot of work, but not as much. And yeah, hopefully the booth fees are not as bad. But yeah, I think really the one thing is I also get the fair perspective where when you're just starting out, um, it's a huge investment and you're really worried about doing multiple days or multiple weekends at the get-go. And it's just a trial kind of soft opening, I think, the first year where you do one day. And I totally get that when you're trying to do that. Uh, because it's scary. I mean, it can be huge. You normally don't make much money, if any, from a fair in the first 5 years. So it's a challenge. Starting off small makes sense. But that being said, after the first year, it's tough. I really think I'm not a big fan of one day fairs. So same as y'all. I think they're more like local events. Yeah, now that's been interesting. Um, there have been some libraries or some, I guess, event centers, like with some historical type location, and they'll just put on kind of a themed events throughout the year. And one of the time the theme is Renaissance Fair, and they'll do that. It's become a popular theme. to try to draw people in. And I get it. It seems a little weird. I've been very hesitant to include all of those because on the fair list, because some of them, it is so ridiculously not a fair. It's mainly just the grassy area outside the library with a couple of tents and people dressed up. That's I don't yeah, it just it doesn't quite have that vibe. It is a lot more like a convention than a fair. And doing indoor fairs, I kind of have mixed feelings about because I've mentioned this before on the show where I can see it, especially in like New England in the winter. If you want to do something in February, it would make sense to do it indoors in a convention center or something. I get it. That makes a lot of sense because you really shouldn't do it outside. It's not good. If you're going that route, I totally get it. Oh, okay. Oh, that's really cool. When they do stuff like that, and with a 1 day fair, you can get away with things like that. It's a little different. Yeah, I know what you mean. It is a really weird. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of that it just depends on who's running it and what they're putting into it. If they're just trying to come up with an event and they just pick that as a theme, then they're not trying to make a Ren fair. They're trying to make an event with the theme. It's very different. That's wild. That's just wild. But yeah, yeah, totally. I agree. Good luck. Good luck. I hope that works out. Well, anyway, yeah, it's already eight here. I'm in the East Coast now, so it's 8:50. But yeah, I need to go ahead and wrap this up because wow. But yeah, I just want to keep talking because I've been so uh, away for a while, so I miss it. But it's great to see all of y'all. Well, at least see your names and chat with you at least. But yeah, it has been a crazy week. I'll get some sleep this week, I promise, and have a lot more to talk about on next Monday. Because, well, sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're awake, but in life, well, it's always fair. So have a fair life. Take care, and I will see you later. Bye.